This installment of our Tech Odyssey class is about a web application called Crocodoc, and the web address for this one, which will also be on the wiki, is personal.crocodoc.com. When this was first made, it was just crocodoc.com, but it caught on so quickly and seemed to have so many uses that would benefit the company in terms of having accounts and making money. This now is for personal use and free use, and just plain crocodoc.com is their business side of this. So if you do end up there, or your students end up there, you can click on the very bottom of the page to go to the personal site, but this does not require any account that is paid. It's a free site. You just have to be on the personal option. In the way of how it works, or what it does, Crocodoc allows you to upload a variety of file types, PDFs, Office documents, and images, and other people can comment on them in a variety of ways. You don't have to have an account, but if you have an account, when you make comments and you're logged in, those accounts show up with your name, so students might need to be doing that. Or additionally, if you have an account, you can keep everything in one place and put things in folders and some other nice options. So again, if you are using this with students under 13, you absolutely could upload a document and then have them comment on it and use it in class, all without having an account, but an account does have some benefits. Also, like I mentioned, you can have several things in a folder that are connected to each other, or you can upload an individual item to give a unique URL to it, so it has both options available. In the way of some classroom uses for Crocodoc, certainly you could have students do some peer editing. Again, it can be anonymous. It's important for us to start teaching students to be both constructive and civil on the internet when they're making comments, even if they are doing so anonymously. So this is a good opportunity to practice that, and also allow students to be constructive and not hurt anyone's feelings in the way of maybe there's some criticism that a student wasn't prepared for, and it wouldn't be assigned to a specific student, even though it might be accurate. You could also have student groups do separate articles. You could assign them articles to annotate for a discussion. They could do that collaboratively all at the same time on different computers. You can have students comment on photographs, looking for various things, or making comments on the actual content of the photo. You could also ask students to label specific things on images. Perhaps you're studying the parts of the human body or different aspects of a paragraph, so they can point to different things on an image using Crocodocs and make a note about that. Students can use this personally to collect research and annotate it for the purposes of a paper, or they actually could be assigned a project where they collect information online, perhaps current event articles or something like that. They put them in a folder and annotate them within the context of something you're studying, and then they share that folder with you so that you can see that they can actually transfer the concepts you've been learning about to real-world situations. I did this in economics, for example, where students could choose to do a project where they sort of looked at a specific topic through all these various economic aspects and questions, and they had to prove that they understood the aspect by finding articles that could help them to answer those economic questions. So I really got a sense of whether or not they understood those specific ideas within the context of something that was more real world. Additionally, you can use this with your peers and colleagues to collaborate on school documents. You can do this asynchronously, so people can comment on things when they have a moment. And you could also solicit feedback on ideas or changes to the school's policies. Maybe you're going to draft a new set of school rules for use of electronic devices in classrooms, and you want everybody to have input. Just type it up, put it on Crocodocs, and people can comment freely, so that everybody has a chance to give input. So here we are at the Crocodocs screen, and I've already logged in as I usually do. When you go to personal.crocodoc.com, you can make an account, and then that way again you'll be able to save the documents that you have been working on all together instead of them having individual URLs. And plus you can make folders like we sort of alluded to. So if we look at a few of those things, and I've already uploaded a couple of examples that we're going to be working on, these are two shared folders. And so if we take a look inside here, and I kind of mentioned this in the introduction, I created a shared folder. I uploaded the same PDF actually several different times and named them with the different schools so that each school had an opportunity to give input on these placemats, these curriculum maps that were going to be on the district's website. And this whole folder has a URL. So I can give this to whomever I want. I can share it with them. They do not have to be logged in to look at this folder or to comment on the placemats. So you can see that as comments were added, they were all anonymous, but they were useful for us to be able to be sure that we were hearing from everyone in the sense of what needed to be changed about these. So you can edit the sharing settings to where people can only look at parts of it or they can't add comments. You can even make it to where you share a folder and people can upload more documents to it to make it even more collaborative. So there are several different settings that you can choose when you're using shared folders. If you're just doing one document, then you just are uploading a single thing. This folder choice is just for personal folders, for personal organization purposes, and the shared one, again, is the one with the little person on it. Now, when you upload a document, it just sends you to your browser to choose one. You go ahead and choose it and upload it. It takes maybe 15-20 seconds to upload and convert the document into something that you can annotate on. I do want to make a quick mention here. I am doing this particular screencast using Internet Explorer because when I was using Firefox, I had a little trouble with one of the features of Crocodoc. They're aware of this, and I think it'll probably be fixed pretty quickly. But if you are going to implement this soon and you're kind of using it or messing with it to see how it works, you probably for right now want to do so in Internet Explorer or Chrome. Because of the Firefox issue, I know for sure that it works in Internet Explorer. So when in doubt, which is true of so many web applications, if it doesn't seem to be working, try a different browser. So here's a couple examples, as I said, of things I've already uploaded. Now, this Martin Luther King speech, I just got that off the internet. I went and found a PDF of it online and downloaded it to my computer and then uploaded it to Crocodoc. I can change the name of it, which I did, because when I downloaded, the file name was kind of a series of numbers and letters. So I renamed it here so that its title is more familiar to who I'm sharing it with. So I changed that. Let's take a look at how it uploaded. It's just pages, and I've already made some comments to show you the different types of comments that you can make. So it's 4 pages here, and I could ask students to do a variety of things with this. I could ask them to annotate for a specific purpose, and I've done that here. So here I'm using the point comment, and there's choices of comments. The point comment is going to drop a little flag exactly where you put your cursor and then allow you to put a comment out to the side. The area comment allows you to draw a square or rectangle around a large piece of text and make a comment here. And then the highlighting comment, the text comment, allows you to highlight and make a note. So if we do that, go ahead and put one right here. And it's in blue because I've chosen blue as my highlighting color. You can change that. And I make a comment about the use of language here. And then that comment is there as a highlight. This is probably the one that you would likely use, especially if you were annotating or commenting on student papers, so that you could be very specific to a single sentence or couple of sentences that they had written. But all 3 options are available and certainly have their own uses. This is another little thing I added earlier to show you. This is the text tool. So I can actually just delete this outright if I don't want it on there. And then it goes away. Or if I want to add a text on the side, I can type a note here about the text. This would also allow me to write something in the margin without a specific reference to an area. You could just say, hey, this is too long, or something like that on the side, and not have to draw a big box around it. So there is that option as well. All of this is up here, like I was saying, in this annotating toolbar here. This comes and goes when you push the annotate button. So that's how you find that. Now, in the way of sharing it, in this case, I've annotated already, and let's say I want to share it with my teacher to show them that I understand the requirements of annotating or of the assignment. I have the link right here. I can allow my teacher to add more comments to it, or I can say, no, I just want to show them what I've done. And in the case of sharing it with students, if you were sharing a blank one, you would allow others to comment. And then all you need to do is give your students this link. Either you could shorten it using bit.ly, and if you've watched the Jeopardy Labs screencast already, you know what I mean. And if you haven't watched it yet, just keep that in the back of your mind, bit.ly. So you could pass it on to students that way, or you could put it on your website or wiki or Edmodo, or you could also just write it on the chalkboard, and students can go to that website address to annotate the document. Again, they do not have to have an account. They do not have to be logged in. Anyone can see this. It'll just be a matter of whether or not their name shows up in the comments in terms of if they're logged in or not. You can also download these, so you can download the original at any time, and you can also download the marked up version, and this allows you to print it from Adobe. You can have to choose to print the comments. They come out on a separate page, but especially if students were using this to have others comment on their work, this way they could download what the results were and go through and edit on paper and make some changes based on what people had said. So you are able to download the marked up commented on version for a variety of purposes. And then finally too, I want to just point out you can just highlight rather than highlight and make comments. So maybe students have to highlight a specific aspect of the speech in orange, and then in blue they highlight a place where he seems to be utilizing a specific type of rhetoric, all those kinds of things. So you can change those kind of requirements as well. And then again, students can do this, and they can either share it with you after that, or you can have them do it as a group, and then you can go back to that URL that you yourself published in the first place and see what they came up with. In the way of using this with images, I'll just quickly show you. This is an image that I uploaded, just a random one of a photo of the sunset that I took, and you saw that it said sunrise on my options. I've renamed it here sunset, and that will update shortly, so I don't want anyone to think that I think the sun actually rises in the west, but originally when I uploaded it, I thought it was the sunrise. So this is an image that students could then mark on and make comments, and maybe they are being asked to identify, what particular piece of the Rocky Mountains this is. So they draw a square around it and can add a note in that way. Students are also able to type on here, so they could actually type some various words maybe that come to mind in terms of this picture, and they can draw on images. This is freehand drawing, so it's certainly not the most elegant aspect of this, but they can, X out things or draw and circle items if they want, and then they could add a piece of text that says something about this particular X. And then that all gets saved. So there's a variety of ways that they can mark up both images and text, and hopefully that gets your mind thinking of some different options that you could use in your own classroom, or again with your colleagues to kind of solicit input on different things that the school is working on. So be sure to head over to Crocodoc and give it a try. Remember, you don't have to have an account, but certainly that could be useful in the way of organization, and hopefully this is something that you feel like you can use with your students.